Hey everybody, it's OmniDog here, right there, OmniDogs and OmniKittens, and this is a root beer review where I am, doing an overview of the Bronze Age Batgirl Omnibus Volume 1. And as in usual overviews, I don't talk a lot. I like to let the book talk for itself. And this, first of all, this is a little bit of the misnomer. The Bronze Age really starts in 67, the Silver Age, with the debut of Batgirl. And we will crank this open and we'll read it right here. We'll read what it says. Though the title Batgirl has been used by a handful of different heroes over the decades, by far the most remembered is Barbara Gordon, daughter of Gotham Police Commissioner Jim Gordon. A mild-mannered librarian by day, by night she patrols the city inspired by the dynamic duo. One thing cool about Batgirl is that she never wanted to be Batman's girlfriend. She was independent and definitely wanted to fight crime on her own. And she started out with her debut in 1967, which I will get to. First, we have a very nice table of contents here. She started out in Detective Comics 359 because the Batman 66 show wanted to feature a female superhero or a female crime fighter, and they asked DC to debut Batgirl, and they debuted simultaneously back in 67. Here we have a nice foreword from the fabulous Gail Simone. And there's the iconic cover. Meet the new Batgirl. Is she heroine or villainous? What is her startling secret identity? The $1 million debut of Batgirl. With a fabulous cover by the fabulous Carmine Infantino. And Carmine Infantino illustrates a few of the first issues, which is reason enough to pick up this beautiful book, because his artwork is second to none. These are typical Batman stories that, let me make sure that I'm correct. Yeah, that's Murphy Anderson's inks. That's what I thought. I'm sorry, Murphy Anderson's inks over Carmine Infantino's pencils. You can tell by that face right there, where she's going after the Grasshopper Gang. But she's fighting on her own and not in a way. Back then, Lois Lane was always after Superman. Poison Ivy was always, and Catwoman were always after Batman. But Batgirl was different. She just wanted to fight crime on her own. And that is what's really remarkable about Batgirl. Let me slide this up and see if we can't get a little bit better view there. And it slid back down, so we're going to have to deal with it. But here you can see some of the great artwork. Very colorful on nice glossy pages. And here's another classic cover. That definitely looks like a Murphy Anderson face there on top of Carmine Infantino's pencils. No, that's a Sid Green face. Okay, well. Oh, okay, I was wrong. Ha! Boy, what am I talking about? Murphy Anderson did the cover of the first of those two. Sid Green was the inker on the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues. I apologize. Sid Green is the inker here. That doesn't change the fact that the artwork's great. Dynamic, really action-packed, really something to behold here. Okay, I'm going to scoot this up, see if I can't get a little bit more of the book. There we go. And this continues into Detective, where she was the feature. She would eventually be the backup feature in Detective. And here's a classic cover. See, Catwoman was always after Batman even back then. And here we have a little bit of a change in artwork. It's still nice. And here she says, no romantic interest in Batman. Ha! That's a likely story. Well, it's true. I've never known Batgirl to have a romantic interest in Batman. Classic Infantino and Anderson cover there. Let's see, when did Infantino's 384? Okay, so Infantino, Frank Springer did the art starting in Batman 197, which is what we just saw. And Gil Kane took over in Detective 371, which is this one. Gil Kane, no slouch himself. And Gil Kane and Murphy Anderson, a force to be reckoned with back in the 60s. Batgirl took no crap from anybody. And this went Detective Comics, Batman, and Batgirl, so she started sharing the title. But I believe she was still a backup. Here we don't even have a cover for her, so I think she became the backup if she wasn't on the cover. So one thing about Batgirl comics is not only her fierce independence and her fighting, but it's very dynamic. Not clunky at all. The fighting scenes are very dynamic. That, as you can see right here. And the artwork changes a little bit. She goes on to do a lot of fighting with Robin. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name. Those of you out there who know your history probably know how to say Frank's name, Frank Giacoa. I'll give it a shot. You can still see very nice artwork. It's not a big book since it goes through the early 70s, so it's kind of expensive. It's a $100 book for not the biggest book, but the history of this book is something that I really can get behind. And here we have Frank Robbins, a famous writer, with Don Heck and Dick Giordano inking. Dick Giordano inking Don Heck. Don Heck ended up doing a lot of these Batgirl stories. And you can see the artwork difference, but it's not a drastic change. It's still fun. It's great to see these on, and now Don Heck does the art all himself. It's really nice to see these all on glossy pages with bright colors. Here it still looks like she's relegated. Pretty soon, coming up here, she starts the Batman Family, which is when they went to 50 cents and started putting in, which I loved at the time, they started putting in Golden Age and early Silver Age stuff as backup features. So here she and Robin are starring in their own book. More Batman Family. And this art was by Pablo Marcus and Vince Coletta. So we're getting towards the end. Batman Family, some more. DC Comics salutes the bicentennial, so that must have gone through 1976. And Jose Delbo, Vince Coletta, Elliot S. Maggins, the writer. Kurt Swan and Vince Coletta, artist. Elliot S. Maggin, who wrote a lot of Superman stuff too. Back in the 70s. So this gives you a good idea of what it looks like. Some of the better writers, some of the goofier stories. Some of the stories with Batman Family were a little bit goofy, but they were still fun. Here we have Bob Brown and Vince Coletta, artists, and Bob Rozakis as being the writer. So this gives you an idea of what you're looking at. And this looks like Batwoman, the original Batwoman. Oh yeah, Batgirl's guest heroine, Batwoman. They pulled her out of the 50s. And so that gives you an idea of the overview of the Batgirl Bronze Age Omnibus. So thanks for watching. I hope that gave you an idea of what's involved. Maybe you were wondering whether or not you should buy it based on the art. The writing is pretty Silver Agey and pretty Silver Agey and Bronze Agey. So it's up to you if you want to buy it. Of course, those are kind of my wheelhouse, so I like them. But those of you who like modern comics may or may not dig it. Best to maybe see if you can grab copies on, I don't know if Comixology goes back that far, but it would be a great way to get your knowledge of Batgirl and her origins in place if you got this book, because she really is a unique and interesting character, and I really think they did well by her to give her her own age, her own Bronze Age omnibus. So I hope that gives you some insight into it. Appreciate your watching. Appreciate any subscribers or likes you can give me. And thanks for tuning in to OmniDog's Vault. Peace and love, peace and love.